What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about Rezolve AI. I want to go over some of the data points, what's moving it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So Rezolve is down 5.38%, 558 the low, 631 the high. So as soon as the market did open, it just tanked. A lot of that had to do with shorts, so I'll go over that in a second. But during the pre-market, you had this nice push to roughly around 633. So there was some good momentum there. I think just people were buying based on what was just announced and what they put out. But 5.3 million shares being traded, 19.3 is the average. So what they did put out was this. So Rezolve AI clarifies recent SEC filing and reaffirms strategic growth initiatives. And so based on this, they are kind of talking about this F3. And so they mention in here that the F3 isn't new dilution, it's just shares that are being resold by the selling stockholders that weren't fulfilled in the previous F1. And so F1's short time span, F3 is good for essentially 3 years. That's based on SEC kind of timelines. So it is a shelf offering. So they are doubling down saying that it is not dilution. In addition to that, in this F3, they also do encumber the shares potentially to be resold, a part of this that was announced on September the 26th. I feel like this is just very poor timing. I get that they should probably clarify things because they did announce that 200 million capital raise and then they submitted a F3. Very poor timing in my opinion, but they are saying part of this F3 encumbers a lot of the stock that these individuals are going to get. So it's kind of interesting. They're saying that this is no dilution, and then the next paragraph they are kind of talking about one dilution activity that they did. So just very poor timing. They do double down on how they have a very strategic partnership with Microsoft and Google. So it is just an interesting chain of events. As I mentioned in my video on Friday, I kind of talked about this. So clearly some individuals are confused by this, but this F3 is just the selling stockholders, so they are registering shares. And based on, again, this explanation, the only new shares that they are registering is this associated to that 200 million capital raise. Still though, very poor timing. They do have their earnings coming out in a couple days, so I will be live streaming that. It'll be first thing, so bright and early, so make sure you guys set your alarm clocks and all that fun jazz. So hopefully that'll be that nice reversal that Rezolve does get to higher highs. But at the time of doing this video, shorts are increasing 395,000 shares. So when I was preparing for this video, like we were only at like 1 million for the volume, and shorts were increasing this amount. So essentially, they made up for a good 40% of the initial volume. This is why Rezolve did get hit quite hard. And for those of you that watched my weekend video or my Friday video, I did mention that there's not really that good of support levels. So I think just shorts pushing it a little bit lower, and as well as not good support levels. That's why Rezolve is kind of trending down today. 10.16% of the free floats being shorted. Cost to borrow average has been inching up quite a lot, so it is sitting at 46%. So let me know your general viewpoint on Rezolve and shorts. I've seen some comments saying that post earnings, they will be having a squeeze. Do you think that realistically is on the table, or not so much? Looking at the options, 622,000 in calls, 125,000 in puts. 60% of all the options being done are bearish in nature. Bull standpoint feels that it'll be roughly around $6. So optimism has definitely dropped quite a lot. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub 5. So possibly the shorts did also buy puts. That way they can kind of benefit twofold based on all that. These are all the transactions occurring so far in the secondary market. So it does look like 4 buys and then 1 sell. So this again goes to show how powerful shorts and algos can actually be. So typically, institutions buying doesn't really move the stock price. Even on Friday, with it going down 10% based on the secondary market, you saw a lot of buying. So again, this is why I like to go over the dark pool and what shorts are doing and everything else. But these are all the transactions occurring on the dark pool as of today. So rather quiet a little bit, but right now with it at 567, it is trading between this pivot and this S1. So 554 is going to be a key support. You really want to watch for that to hold. And the low for today is 558. So general area of this S1 was kind of hit. So it is bouncing off of that. At the same time, this pivot point of 629, that also was, for the most part, the high. So essentially, we have very strong support and resistance points. So again, just watch for one of these two. Most likely, earnings is either going to cause it to break well above this to this R1 or potentially break it back down to this S2. So anticipate a lot of volatility. Even going back over here, implied move is 24.62% based on the options activity. So $1.42 in either direction is anticipated. Aside from all that fun stuff, you do see, actually going back over here for a second, it did recently break off of that super trend. So that does mean that you have algos trying to suppress Rezolve. But aside from that, no new articles, no new analyst ratings, nothing really along those lines. And then aside from that, quickly popping over here, looking at the market position, this is exactly what I did mention previously, that you don't have any real support levels. So nobody is really willing to buy. Possibly that could change post earnings, but it looks as though that there's a little bit more potential downside and consolidation. So anything's possible. This stock is extremely volatile and has been over the last little bit. But I think generally from their upcoming earnings, that could be a very big deal, really pushing it higher, possibly retesting this 52-week high of 845. So let me know your general thoughts on Rezolve and what you feel could be that nice reversal. Do you think that news that they put out today was good, or do you think it was just a lot more confusing rather than anything? Like I said, I get their viewpoint and what they were trying to accomplish with this, but talking about no dilution and then dilution, and then in this paragraph they're also talking about how the dilution of this 200 million right here is part of this F3. It's just very poorly done. And again, coming from a company standpoint, you could tell that they're putting this out to appeal to only retail investors, because institutions and most actual investors understood this, even what I said on my Friday video. So there must be a few individuals really just pestering the company and saying, hey, are you blah, 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 diluting, you're doing this and this and this and whatever else. So I think in general, it could have been more, probably maybe even a video from the CEO himself just explaining this. I've seen that occur in the past and usually is taken fairly well as on a side note, but still it is what it is at this stage. So let me know your general thoughts on this. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. One final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, many of which have been absolutely on point and bangers. Definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.